All right, welcome to this EPANET video on how to find and select a pump curve for your system from the internet and then input that into EPANET and run a simulation with it. All right, so this is a dummy network I've made. Here's the reservoir, it's at 150 feet. And then the rest of the nodes are a bit higher than that in the network. So we start at 150, go down to 100, and then quickly go up to about 200 here in this fake neighborhood that I've made. And so pretty quickly, if we run a simulation, you're going to see it gives us a warning message and that we have negative pressures. So let's look at how negative we are. So we start at 21 psi, and then quickly as we rise in elevation, we lose all pressure and we're negative here. So clearly we need some more pressure in this system and we need a pump to do that. Um, so let's select a pump. So what we're going to do is we need to figure out how much head or how much pressure we need to add into the system to get where we want. So let's see here. Our lowest pressure seems to be this negative 26, which makes sense because that is also our highest point in the network. So um, let's say we want all pressures at all the nodes to be at least 40 psi. So this is negative 26, so we're going to need 66 psi more to get to where our requirement is. And if we get 66 more psi, that'll satisfy all the other requirements for all these other nodes because they're less, they have more pressure than this node J11. All right, so we have to convert from psi to feet of head. So 66 psi is about 152 feet of head. Um, that's just a simple calculation. Um, we'll round that up to about 160 feet, um, just so we're well past 40 psi, which is our limit here. So we have the head that we need. Now we need to figure out how much flow we need. So let's go to flow. Here we're in GPM. The total demand in this network is 30 gallons per minute, which you can see is the amount coming from this reservoir, 30 gallons per minute. So that is going to be the flow we want. So let's go ahead to this website, Pumps Ebara, just a website I found that was pretty easy to use to find pump curves. So we're going to go to this pump selector tool they have built in, click on Get Started. We're not going to register, we're just going to continue, accept. All right, here is the screen that we want. So our flow, we decided from EPANET was 30 gallons per minute. That's how much water we have to deliver. And the head we needed was 66 psi, which we converted to 152 feet, which is, we rounded up to about 160, right? To be extra safe, make sure we're above 40 psi. We're not going to bother with any of these other things for now. We're going to hit select all because we want to look at all of their product lines, right? We don't really care right now. We just want a curve that we can work with in EPANET. So let's hit search. It's thinking. All right. And here are several real pumps and curves that we can input into EPANET and use. So let's go ahead and use this first one. So we'll click on it and it will bring up the pump curve. And I like this tool because it'll show you what the values you're looking at wherever you drag your mouse. So here's our curve. Now we need to put this into EPANET. So I'm going to shrink my windows to make this a bit easier. Okay. All right, and I lost my browser, so we're gonna have to drag that over. There we go. EPANET is a bit tricky to maneuver. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and input this curve into our system. So we want to go to Data in your browser here. Click the drop down, go to Curves. And this is where you're going to add the pump curve. Click Add. All right, curve 1. Let's just call this C-1. Description. So let's name it with the actual name it has here, so we can keep track of which one we used. Curve type, it is a pump curve. All right, so now let's input 3 points. So if we input 3 points into this table, EPANET will generate a pump equation curve and populate that for us. So it's really easy. So let's start with the close to 0 point. So at 0, it looks like it's about 198 feet. So let's start with that. 0 flow, 198. Okay. Let's just pick one kind of in the middle here. How about here? So at about 22 gallons per minute, we're at 175. So let's put that in, 22, 175. Okay, we need one more point. So let's maybe get this end point here. 39.6 is 91. So 39.6 and 91. Okay. So there we go. So we have our 3 points, and it made a nice pump curve. It will not match exactly what this is. You can input as many points as you want, but if you do more than 3, I believe it'll start just linearly interpolating between them. So if you want the curve, you just input 3. And we can test that really quick. Make sure I'm not lying to you. Yeah, that's what it does, but we don't want that. So just stick with 3. All right. So let's hit OK. Now it has our curve stored as C-1. So now we need to add a pump to the system. Let's go back, make this full screen. So we're going to add our pump right after junction 1, and then between junction 1 and junction 2, and we want it right after junction 1 so we can make sure we have enough pressure, because this does have a NPASH requirement, right? So as long as we're above about 2 feet, 2 to 3 feet here, we're going to be okay. Exactly, we want 1.97 feet of pressure. 21 psi is well beyond that, so we're good there. But this is a good place to have it. So let's add a junction. We need to move this pipe to end here at junction 12. So we're going to click on it and make this junction 12. And it moves over, leaving us a space where we can put our pump. There we go. Got a pump now. Let's double click. Brings up the properties. We're going to assign it the curve that we made. And the name we gave it was C-1. So you just type that in, hit enter, and there you go. Now it has that. So if we hit run, it looks like it worked. Okay, so you can see it goes from 20 psi to 128, which is a little high. And then up here, we didn't quite hit the 40 psi I said originally because of all the head losses that we're experiencing and didn't account for in that original calculation. But 37 psi, that's pretty close. That's pretty good. I'm going to call it a day here. So that is how you enter a pump curve and a pump into your EPANET system to raise the pressure in your network. All right, thanks for watching.